Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to episode 3 of Time for a Comeback. This is my video journey on the way back to the starting line of a 100-mile foot race for the first time in what will amount to being 4 years. I'll be racing the Canyons 100 at the end of April, which is on the Western States course, or at least part of it. But it goes backwards from the way the Western States course goes. So instead of finishing near Auburn, we'll be starting in Auburn and working our way up. So how has training gone? And I will say, after the first 2 weeks, I thought DOMS would be over since I've been doing a lot more strength training, but that has not been the case. Today we did some more leg workouts, and I still kind of felt like a baby giraffe on ice when I had to walk down the stairs of the gym. So hopefully at some point that goes away, and this will be like just a normal scenario. Other people have asked me about strength training and why so much. And what I'll tell you is that the reason why I've been doing so much strength training is I'm getting a little bit older. I'll be 50 at the end of next year, and it helps with the ability to get stronger as we will be climbing what amounts to be, according to the website, 24,000 feet, but descending approximately 16,000 feet according to the GPS that I found. And so want to make sure that I'm able to sustain the ability to climb that much as well as descend that much, because when you're descending, you're going to be banging on your quads. So a lot of strength training in this base building section leading up until January, when we'll start to incorporate a little bit more speed work. Then February, we'll do a little bit more medium length runs. And then in March into April, we'll get into those longer runs and some more back-to-back days where you're talking 3-4 hours on a Saturday, 3-4 hours on a Sunday, all the while practicing nutrition and hydration. One of the things I did want to talk about is preparing for this event. I mentioned the 24,000 foot of climbing. I did download the GPX file from UTMB, and when you download the GPX file, it shows 19,500 feet of climbing. So that's about a 4,500 foot difference. It shows about 16,000 foot of descent, and let's just say that's also 4,500 foot of difference, which means you have about 20,000 feet of descending. That's about 45,000 feet of elevation change over the course of 100 miles, which means that when I train, when I start running, I will be looking to incorporate, give or take, 450 foot per mile of elevation change, up and down, because you got to do both throughout my training, and that'll be part of how I plan it out. Another thing, for those of you who may know me and for those of you who don't, one of the things that I have been known to do is not necessarily read the athlete guides and kind of just wing it and see what happens and, figure it out as we go along. Well, on the UTMB site, it does say that there is mandatory gear. And one of the things I read is that it says you need to have a survival blanket. And, let's just say my face kind of goes like this when I read survival blanket. Like, why do we need a survival blanket? Then I realized we'll be up in the mountains. It's late April, but that doesn't mean that there won't be any snow out there. When I raced Western States in 2019, we did have some snow on the trail as we ran across, but that was in the beginning of the race. Now we'll be going up into that area at the end of the race, and so who knows what the weather will be. I did mention GPX files, and thinking to myself, well, it's on the Western States course, and it says that we get to descend Devil's Thumb, which, as my memory serves me, was about 36 or 38 switchbacks going up. And when I got to the top, I just stared out into the canyons that were out there in total amazement, realizing how difficult that was. And so knowing that this was going backwards, my mind just told me that, well, it'll all be downhill, right? Well, that's not true, because here is the elevation profile for the canyons, and that's where we'll be ending. This is where we'll be starting. So that being said, there's going to be a bucket load of climbing at the end of the race, which when I saw that made me happy that strength training is what I'm focusing on. when it comes to that, what am I doing? So squats, deadlifts will be engaged at some point, leg extensions, leg curls, hamstring curls using a ball, to stability ball to work with those muscles, calf raises, calf extensions, those kinds of things. I do a warm up before I get started, drunken bird, to get the body warmed up before we get started, which will also help with balance, some of those key things. And so I'm really excited to have started this process and this journey back to the starting line with strength training and a lot of focus on that. I'm also doing upper body. And so for those of you who may wonder why, when you're hiking up the mountains and you're using trekking poles, you are using a lot of your upper body, triceps, shoulders, biceps, back. And so you want to make sure that you've developed the strength to do that. Not to mention, you're going to be carrying a pack, probably carrying 8 to 10 pounds worth of water and food, and then some of the mandatory gear that we have to carry, blankets, jackets, hats, gloves will be a part of it, headlamps, extra batteries, phone. That stuff starts to add up. And so you want to make sure that your back and shoulders are prepared to carry that additional weight. And so, these next few months will be a lot of focusing on that, including push-ups, bench press, shoulder press, tricep kickbacks, tricep extensions, that type of stuff to make sure that my upper body is capable of handling the additional weight from the pack. And so that's where we're at. Things are going well, pretty excited about it. Weather has started to cool off, so getting out on the trail here in Phoenix will be a lot easier than in the summer when it's 110 degrees and, you are dehydrated basically from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. So now with cooler weather, we'll be able to get out there and enjoy trail running a little bit more than it would have been during the summer. So that's where we're at after in 3 weeks, and pretty excited about it. You could see my schedule here for what we've done. Here's the amount of steps I've taken in the past week. As you can see, while I'm not running a much, it is equivalent to almost 32 miles. And that's quite a bit of getting, zone 1 aerobic base building in. And so, literally starting from the ground up and working my way to that starting line on April 28th. By the way, for those of you who also want to start making your comeback journey, I am a coach. Feel free to reach out to me, Jason@runtrimag.com, and let's talk about how we can get you started on your path to a comeback to your next starting line and finish line. Thank you all for watching. Look forward to updating you next week. Have a great day.